Skyfire Popcorn fan here. It is 7:15 in the morning. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing this very early in the morning, but I'm gonna get down to this review, and this one is an Alfred Hitchcock classic. Yes, I'm going to review Psycho, which is a classic film in every way. It was one of Alfred Hitchcock's most popular movies next to Vertigo and The Birds. You know, there's a lot of classic Hitchcock movies, but this one, Psycho, it it's technically the first example of a slasher flick, but it's not necessarily a slasher film. It's more of a psychological mystery thriller. That's kind of what this movie is, even though we still have a killer killing people with a knife. There's still that element of that, so that does make this a first example of a horror film or a slasher film. So yeah, and this movie, it's very different. It changed the horror genre forever. It was like that movie in between two different time periods. It was like the time period of classic Universal monsters, and then this movie sort of helped transition that into the more modern golden age of horror, with other horror films like Texas Chainsaw, Town That Dreaded Sundown, Halloween, and then after the 70s it transitioned like even more in the 80s with all the other classic characters like Chucky, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. This movie Psycho is sort of a in between those two different time periods of classic movies in horror, and it definitely like helped transition that genre, and because it's kind of a universal monster kind of movie, because the Psycho movies are owned by Universal, and yeah, it's a really classic movie. It's a very iconic, especially the infamous shower scene. If you have not seen Psycho, you might have seen the shower scene at some point in your life, because that is an iconic scene. Just this movie, it's not just a good horror film, it's a really good movie because you're following two different characters in this movie. You follow the character of Marion Crane for the first act of the movie, and then when Norman Bates kills her, the movie starts to focus on him. And I really like that interesting transition there between the two different characters, and that makes it more. Let's see. It changes. The direction of the movie changes. It feels like a completely different movie after Norman kills Marion Crane. If you guys haven't seen this movie, I am going to spoil this movie because it came out in like 1960. So if you guys don't want spoilers and you haven't seen this movie, click away. But if you haven't, you have to see this movie. It's an iconic movie in every way. The performances are amazing in this movie, from Vera Miles as Mary Crane's sister, to Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, to Jeanette Leigh as Marion Crane. Just all the actors in this movie give amazing performances, and Alfred Hitchcock uses really cool camera angles in this movie, like from a top-down perspective of Norman carrying his mom's corpse down the stairs. That's also a very iconic scene. There's a lot of iconic scenes in this movie, a very iconic, very powerful imagery in this movie, especially the shower scene. And just in every aspect, this is a classic movie in every way. And the only like complaint that most people would have is that exposition scene at the end when the psychiatrist is explaining to the cops and to Mia Crane's sister and Sam Loomis about Norman's condition, his state of mind, just how he has a split personality and all of that. This just that exposition scene that most people would criticize. I mean, I don't mind it, but at the same time, it is like I don't need to know that because I basically already know what that is. I don't need that to be explained to me. But yeah, that is like the one like little criticism about the movie, is just that last exposition scene with the psychiatrist. That's really it, though. This is just a very, very good movie. It focuses on Norman Bates, and he's not just a simple killer. Like, he's not a silent killer like Michael Myers, but he's also not, funny. He's very socially awkward. He's a human being. He's a person, and you can sympathize with him because he's someone that you can relate to. And yeah, I know he's a killer. Yes, yes, yes. But he's a person, and that's why this character means more to me than the other slasher villains that are, more popular. Sometimes people think those other characters are more popular, but in my opinion, I think Norman Bates is he's a human being, and that's what adds more content or context to the character, and to me it makes him a better villain to me than the other slasher villains. So yeah, this is Psycho, a very iconic movie that transcended the genre, and just a really good movie in general. I really love Psycho. It's my favorite horror film because you're following a killer who's a person, and you can sympathize with him, and I really like that aspect of that. And it's just a really good movie. It's iconic in every way, and I give this movie an A+. So yeah, that's my grade, and I will let you guys know in the description box what my next movie will be that I will review. But tomorrow and Friday I have college classes, so I can't do reviews tomorrow or Friday, but I'll try to get reviews out this weekend. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I will catch you guys next time. Bye everyone. Peace.